Tonight, the most dire prediction yet as Cyclone Alfred edges closer. 4 million Australians warned it's coming and could be deadly. Comprehensive coverage of this major emergency. Also, peak hour mayhem as riders collide on the Westgate Bridge. Bayside residents fork out for private security guards as young criminals run rampant. Ukraine charges back to the negotiating table as Donald Trump declares a trade war on the world. Millions of dollars in unclaimed cash. How to get your share. And a twist as the AFL works to revamp the season fixture.
Live from Melbourne, 7 News with Peter Mitchell starts now.
Good evening. 4 million Australians are tonight racing to prepare for potentially deadly flooding with Cyclone Alfred edging closer. Authorities have given the most dire prediction yet on how severe and widespread the damage could be. Tonight there's a last-minute battle for sandbags and supplies. Flights in and out of the Gold Coast have been suspended. From tomorrow, schools are closed and public transport halted. And the Bureau isn't ruling out the possibility of upgrading Alfred to a Category 3 system. Chris Reason begins our coverage.
Still a day away from landfall, but Cyclone Alfred is already making its presence felt. As the East Coast braces for a direct hit, whipping waves and surging tides bowled people like tenpins and picked up cars like beach toys. It's going to get far worse.
Take this seriously. This is a rare event.
Alfred is now on course for Brisbane's densely populated southern suburbs, 30,000 homes in the flood zone.
Make your evacuation plan now, and if you have the option to go and stay with family and friends, take that.
It sent a city into lockdown, with 4 million residents told today they could be without power for at least 3 days. Supermarket shelves are bare. Sandbagging stations are being cleaned out too. 250,000 more bags being distributed. They will need them. There were kilometres of queues this morning.
I haven't slept since 7 yesterday. So I've been here about 3 times. I think the council should get their trucks here real quick with some more sand.
The situation's so desperate for some, they were stealing sand from a local playground. While here, neighbourhood anger with dozens of bags used to hold down a roof. Up and down the coast, homeowners are preparing, building barriers, taping windows.
Cyclone is an unusual event. We're talking about 1 in 50 years.
Here, proactive policing, door-knocking homes, warning residents to evacuate by tomorrow morning latest.
Severe flash flooding right across the southeast corner.
Alfred is forecast to make landfall in darkness 2 a.m. Friday. The Gold Coast first in line.
This looks like the most significant event in our city since 1954.
That cyclone killed at least 24. The population then, 36,000. Now, 750,000.
And the ADF is now engaged as of right now.
Getting out, not easy and not cheap. The Gold Coast and Ballina airports closed this afternoon. Brisbane still open, but fares now reaching $600 one way. In northern New South Wales, they've opened 14 evacuation centres. Flood-battered Lismore now being warned to prepare for another.
Our planning is for something akin to the 2022 natural disaster in Lismore.
Alfred is 400 kilometres off the coast and closing. As a Cat 2, it's packing winds of 90 kilometres an hour with gusts up to 164. Along the coast, that's enough to see boats break from their moorings and waves to hit 8 metres, 15 metres offshore. Now inland, those winds will be enough to bring down power lines and trees, perhaps even rip roofs from some older homes. But then there's the rain. Alfred's expected to dump 200 to 400 mils daily, in isolated areas even up to 800 mils. The problem is, when that water builds, it can't get away, with warnings of life-threatening flash flooding over a 200-kilometre stretch of our east coast. And adding to the twin traumas of high winds and rain, Alfred is due to hit on one of the year's highest tides.
We are dealing with 3 natural disaster events in one.
The countdown is on. Chris Reason, 7 News.
And reporter Sam Payne is on the Gold Coast tonight. Sam, conditions are already deteriorating.
Yes, Peter, they definitely are. Now, there's been a brief break in the rain, so people have actually come out to see the conditions. But what we're currently dealing with is 3 to 4 metre waves consistently battering the Gold Coast, and the effects have already been seen. There's erosion along our beaches and unprecedented amount of sand now in this car park. It happened around midday today, if you want to have a look. Took out this fence and just completely covered this car park. I spoke with a local who said he's never seen this much sand in this area before, and this is only expected to get worse as Cyclone Alfred edges closer and closer. Obviously, the Gold Coast Council has urged everyone to be inside by 6 p.m. Winds are expected to be at around 120 kilometres an hour, but it'll be a close watch as Cyclone Alfred gets towards us. Peter?
Sam Payne on the Gold Coast, thank you. Now to Tyra Stowers at Tullamarine Airport, and Tyra, getting in and out of the cyclone zone is already a challenge.
Well, Mitch, all major airlines have cancelled flights in and out of southeast Queensland this afternoon. And as for the Gold Coast Airport, it's now closed altogether. More than 20 flights were scheduled to arrive or depart holiday hotspots like Coolangatta, Ballina and Byron Bay over the next 24 hours. Qantas said its airlines, including Jetstar, will not operate any flights to and from Gold Coast for at least 24 hours after the airport is closed. And airlines are tonight warning people travelling to Brisbane, the Gold Coast, the Sunshine Coast and northern New South Wales this week to keep an eye on their flight status. And at this stage, it's unclear when the Gold Coast Airport will be reopening. Mitch?
Tyra Stowers at Melbourne Airport, thank you. Chief Football reporter Mitch Cleary joins us now. And Mitch, you have new information on the AFL's forced fixture shuffle.
Well, Peter, first we've had opening round. Now the AFL is considering closing round. The latest suggestion from clubs today is the AFL is looking at playing that postponed Gold Coast Essendon game as the final game of the AFL season after round 24. So it would fit in where that current pre-finals bye is currently played. Now there's still a few hoops to jump through before that is confirmed, but if it does go ahead as planned, it would mean a fitting finale to the season if either team is in the finals race. As for the Cats and the Lions, postponed from this weekend, that is headed for round 3. We're just waiting on the slot for that game. The most likely scenario now is Saturday night or Saturday twilight. Peter?
Mitch Cleary at Docklands, thank you. And meteorologist Jane Bunn is tracking Alfred's path. Jane, what does your latest data show?
Well, Mitch, in the past hour, it has become clear that while Alfred is maintaining its strength, it is really slowing down. The crossing may be delayed until later on Friday or even Saturday morning. It could now take a path that nears the coast, quickly veers and then travels along the coast. That is a concerning situation as it will make the core destructive zone affect a lot more people and property. In this zone are winds up to 155 k's an hour, along with life-threatening flash flooding. Then when it finally moves inland, we may see rain travel as far south as Victoria, Mitch.
Thanks very much, Jane. A Ringwood woman has faced court charged with murdering her own mother in a horrific knife attack. The elderly victim was found inside her Blackburn home with multiple stab wounds.
Irene Herzl was a loving grandmother, adored by neighbours who are now mourning her death.
She's a very quiet, unassuming, pleasant, just wanted to be a really nice person. And I'm just shocked to hear that anything like that could happen to her, because she was such a lovely, lovely person.
The 78-year-old was found with critical stab wounds at her home in Blackburn South just after 11 o'clock yesterday. Her body discovered by police conducting a welfare check. Miss Herzl's daughter is now in custody after being charged with her mother's murder. 7 News understands the accused killer called her brother after the incident. 47-year-old Christine Herzl was supposed to front a magistrate today, but stayed in her cell. Her lawyer telling the court she has treatment-resistant schizophrenia and was at risk of self-harm.
Ms Herzl was also assessed by a medical officer who found she was unfit for interview. Due to her current mental state, the magistrate adjourned the hearing to this Friday.
It's likely Miss Herzl will be transported to a different facility so she can be treated for mental health concerns. Estelle Greepink, 7 News.
Bayside residents fed up with teen criminals running wild have joined together to fund their own private protection force. They're frustrated with the Allen government's perceived inaction on youth crime, with the issue growing too big to ignore.
48 hours after a security guard was attacked in the Premier's hometown, a snapshot of Labor's take on youth crime.
Do you think the government's doing enough to make people feel safe in their homes?
Just leave me alone. When Labor's newest MP was asked about his top priorities, crime didn't make the cut.
What breathtaking stupidity.
It's definitely one of my top priorities. But the people of Werribee have a lot of things that they want to make sure that I'm working on here in Parliament.
The Premier says she understands the urgency around crime.
I understand that the current laws, the current settings are not working. The laws need to be changed and they will.
The Premier keeps talking about strengthening the laws. Where's the action?
The bail law reforms that the Attorney and the Police Minister have announced are part of the work that we are focusing on.
I see more photos of the Police Minister by the racecourse than I do solving our community safety crisis.
The Attorney-General is in charge of that bail work, but she's been busy with her other portfolio too, making back-to-back housing announcements.
We've obviously got a part-time Attorney-General here in the state.
Brighton residents are so fed up with the crime crisis, they're taking matters into their own hands, calling on residents to chip in for private security at a cost of $300,000 a year.
All the residents are on edge. The whole suburb is lit up at the minute with fear.
Rochelle Brown, 7 News.
A crash on the Westgate Bridge outbound almost 6 hours ago is still causing major delays for drivers tonight. Bethan Yeoman is at Port Melbourne, and Beth, it's a nightmare run out of the city.
Mitch, this is absolute traffic mayhem. We've just been told that all lanes outbound have reopened, but just look at the mess behind me. Let's go straight to live pictures coming from our news chopper. Traffic is crawling, and at many places it's an absolute complete standstill with queues stretching back to the Domain Tunnel. All this caused by a crash on the bridge just after midday, more than 6 hours ago. Two motorcyclists collided, leaving a man in his 60s with serious lower leg injuries. Both were taken to the Royal Melbourne Hospital. For the first 3 hours, only one lane was open. It was two until about 5 minutes ago, but there's still delays of well over an hour for commuters. Those coming from the east are being warned to detour over the top of the city. Mitch.
Bethan Yeoman at Port Melbourne, thank you. And in developing news, there are major disruptions on Victoria's regional train network as we go to air. Some V-line services are being replaced with coaches. The significant delays have been caused by a communications outage. A male nurse has now been charged over a live stream where he and a colleague allegedly bragged about killing Israeli patients. Ahmad Rashad has been granted bail before he faces court next month. He's charged with using a carriage service to menace, as well as drug offences. The female nurse featured in the video was charged last month. Parents at a primary school in Melbourne's north have broken ranks to expose what they say is a culture of bullying across all year levels. Police have been called in, and distraught parents are pleading for help to keep their children safe.
Covered with scars after 2 years of torment.
I'm being scratched. I'm being stabbed.
Grade 5 student Lincoln Miller says he's been relentlessly bullied at Wallen Primary.
Punching and kicking and hitting with sticks.
Sadly, he's not alone.
My son started Wallen Primary School last year in grade 1. One of the boys had put glass to his neck, and they had stated that if he moves, that the glass will cut him.
I said, I'm a black African monkey.
They're sharpening their pencils, and they're putting them in their socks, in their shoes, and they're carrying scissors.
Bronya Playdell removed her children from the school after just 3 months.
I didn't send them for the last 2 weeks of school because I felt sick. Like I just felt really defeated. The bullies are still messaging him on social media and threatening him.
Tight zoning means there's nowhere to go, and frustrated parents claim the school isn't doing enough.
I've been issued a trespass warning for raising concerns about the bullying. I literally witnessed him be stomped on by multiple kids. I didn't know if he was alive.
Local police are aware of the problem and are working with the school to address it. They plan to visit classrooms and talk to students about the social, physical and mental health problems caused by bullying. In a statement to 7 News, the Education Department said Wallen Primary takes allegations of bullying seriously and takes appropriate disciplinary action.
I'd like more things put in place when it comes to bullying and, for the safety of our children.
Ainsley Kosh, 7 News.
Donald Trump has declared Russia is finally ready to end the war in Ukraine, while Ukraine's President Volodymyr Zelensky is charging back to the negotiating table. In his first address to Congress since his re-election, the US President also launched his own trade war on the world.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
Donald Trump back in the deep end of the Washington swamp. The address to Congress, more like a campaign rally. One demonstrating Democrat was drowned out, then kicked out, so the Commander-in-Chief could declare the first 43 days of his comeback the best in US history.
America is back.
And after strong-arming Ukraine and humiliating its president, he says Russia is now ready to end the war.
And have received strong signals that they are ready for peace. Wouldn't that be beautiful? Wouldn't that be beautiful?
In the same breath, President Trump launched his own war on trade, with equal tariffs on every single country that taxes American products.
We have been ripped off for decades by nearly every country on earth.
No word on an Australian exemption, and Canada had to start paying today.
But Donald, you're a very smart guy. This is a very dumb thing to do.
The president insisting it's all part of his revolution of common sense, which will kill woke once and for all in his reborn America.
And most dominant civilization ever to exist on the face of this earth.
This was trademark Trump, lapping up every minute in front of a prime-time TV audience, delivering the longest address to a joint sitting of Congress on record, speaking for more than an hour and 40 minutes.
God bless you and God bless America.
And he insists he's just getting started. In Washington, D.C., Rob Scott, 7 News.
Rebecca Maddern's here with Sport, and Beck, Clayton Oliver has addressed his tumultuous season last year.
He certainly has, Peter. He's revealed the turning point that helped him fall back in love with the Demons. That is coming up. Also, the two big Hawks recruits raring to go for a centre stage showdown with the Swans to open the season. We'll relive Melbourne United's epic finish over Perth to reach the NBL's Championship Series, plus details on Steve Smith's retirement bombshell. We've got plenty coming up.
OK, we'll see you then. Thank you, Beck. Residents in Jacinta Allen's hometown say they've been abandoned as teen criminals run wild. Their plan to confront the Premier is next. Also ahead on 7 News, the latest on the Pope's battle with double pneumonia. A 16-year-old charged over a chilling threat to repeat the Christchurch massacre. And King Charles makes a rare flying visit to troops on an aircraft carrier. Another 2 children have been charged over a sickening attack on a security guard in Bendigo. Residents in the Premier's hometown say they've been abandoned by the government as teenage criminals run wild.
Outnumbered 9-1, the shopping centre security guard was attacked. His head stomped on so hard, shoe imprints were left on his face. 3 children now charged over Monday afternoon's brutality, aged 14, 16 and 17, all Bendigo locals.
Wait, come on, the
17-year-old also to be charged over another assault in a nearby car park stairwell last week. And the teen is being investigated over this. A legally blind man attacked in the centre's car park last Thursday. The victim's dad devastated.
Nobody feels safe. They walk around in packs.
More video has emerged of youths attacking girls on Bendigo buses. The violent incidents are all in the Premier's electorate. She shops at Bendigo Marketplace too.
I was there 48 hours earlier with my own kids.
The security guard is still recovering, too shaken to return, as the 17-year-old boy applied for bail in the Children's Court. Police saying if he is released, the next victim is at risk of death. The magistrate agreed, refusing bail. And just over the road from the shopping centre, Premier Jacinta Allen's electoral office. Momentum now growing online to hold a protest here next Tuesday morning about youth violence in Bendigo.
You can't even manage your own electorate. It's just disgusting.
Paul Dowsley, 7 News.
A West Australian teenager has been charged after allegedly threatening to carry out a mass shooting at a Sydney mosque. The 16-year-old boy referenced the hateful attacks that left more than 50 dead in New Zealand, posting, "I'm about to Christchurch 2.0 this joint." The Pope's medical condition hasn't improved. He remains on a ventilator in a Rome hospital, receiving around-the-clock care. Europe correspondent Ben Downey joins us now from the Vatican. And Ben, the Holy Father is stable.
Yeah, that's right, Peter. That's the good news. And for the more than 1 billion Catholics around the world, reason that they can be thankful his condition at least hasn't deteriorated. It's been a seesawing 19 days for the Pontiff since he was admitted to hospital with double pneumonia in both lungs. As we know, that's led to serious breathing problems and multiple other complications. So the news that his condition is unchanged over the past 24 hours is small relief, but each day it doesn't improve. Well, it's a reason that adds to the anxiety of those Catholics around the world who are praying for the Pontiff to get better. Peter?
Downey at Vatican City, thank you. The King has made a symbolic visit to a British warship in the North Sea. In full Navy uniform, he told the crew the world has become increasingly uncertain and their role has never been more important.
As the Commander-in-Chief of Britain's armed forces, visiting some at sea isn't unprecedented, but with a tense political and military world, the arrival of King Charles on board HMS Prince of Wales felt significant.
Hooray! Ho!
The Royal Navy's aircraft carrier in the North Sea is about to be deployed to the Indo-Pacific, a signal of deterrence to Russia and China. And as the King told its sailors, that mission comes in uncertain times.
Your deployment in the next month comes amidst new challenges in an ever-changing and more unpredictable world.
The King's naval visit is significant not just as a potential sign of improving health, but it also continues his most intense period of royal diplomacy since taking the crown.
Visits with the leaders of Canada and Ukraine in successive days may be a precursor to an even bigger arrival.
This is a letter from His Majesty the King. It's an invitation for a second state visit.
The King, no doubt conscious of the role he may play in maintaining world order. In London, Joel Dry, 7 News.
A new drama is unfolding for the family of a controversial Olympian. Next on 7 News, Raygun's brother accused of Breaking Bad. Also ahead, the plan to bring stranded US astronauts home after 9 months. European leaders put a new spin on parliamentary fireworks. And Meghan shares her tips on life, but the critics aren't buying it. The brother of controversial Olympic breakdancer Raygun is facing fraud charges. Brendan Gunn is accused of dealing with the proceeds of crime as a company director, accepting money to be converted into cryptocurrency. According to police, he handled cheques totalling $181,000, despite having knowledge he was dealing with victims of a scam. He faces up to 3 years in jail if convicted. In what could be a well-timed boost just before the election, the Albanese government says our economy has turned a corner. Australia has recorded the strongest GDP growth in years, but for struggling households, there's a long way to go.
The figures say the cost of living's easing.
Load of bull.
In the supermarket car park, this shopper's not buying it.
You go in there and buy some groceries, darling, and you'll find out.
Those official figures, economic growth up 0.6% in the December quarter to 1.3% annually, the best result in more than 2 years.
Growth is picking up in the Australian economy, and the Australian economy has turned a corner.
Household spending bouncing 0.4%, Australians buying more furniture, clothes and shoes, and spending more at cafes and restaurants. Agriculture booming. In a parched economy, green shoots.
There are good reasons to be more confident about 2025.
Not according to the opposition.
The truth is Australians continue to face a very tough set of circumstances.
The results from before the Reserve Bank cut interest rates to 4.1% last month.
We've taken our foot a little bit off the brake. We haven't got our foot on the accelerator.
A second cut in April now looking unlikely, but
I'm starting to think the next Reserve Bank rate cut could be as early as May.
The biggest unknown, the Trump tariffs economic thump. Interest rates down, jobs up, wages steady now, growth growing. All reasons to call an election at the weekend. But with Cyclone Alfred bearing down, Anthony Albanese says his mind's on that alone.
On the timing of the election.
The eyes have it. Mark Riley, 7 News.
They've called the International Space Station home for the past 9 months, but finally NASA's 2 stuck astronauts will return to Earth. Butch Wilmore and Sonny Williams will depart later this month, their replacements arriving next week.
It brings to mind family and all the people on the ground who support us. So, you know, it's been a roller coaster for them, probably a little bit more so than for us. You know, we're here, we have a mission.
The duo had only expected to be gone for a week or so when their spacecraft was deemed too unsafe for the journey home. And Parliament has descended into chaos in Serbia with smoke bombs let off and flares thrown. At least 3 politicians were injured, one suffering a stroke. They'd been scheduled to vote on an education law, but opponents interrupted, demanding the Prime Minister's resignation. Meghan Markle has attempted to style herself as a domestic goddess for the launch of her new lifestyle program, With Love, Meghan. The series was tipped to be a ratings hit, but already her critics are out in force.
At home with Meghan.
My kids will now connect this to coming home from school and smelling sweetness that wafts through the house when you are slow cooking fruit. Oh, Mom's making some preserves again.
Except this isn't actually her home. The Duchess's Netflix special is filmed at a separate Californian farmhouse to the one she shares with husband Harry and their 2 children. The 8-part series features berry picking, beekeeping and cooking. Lots of it.
I find when I'm cooking bacon, my kitchen very immediately becomes full of husband and 3 dogs. My bacon brings all the boys to the yard.
Unlike in previous collaborations with the streamer, she shares no royal grievances here. It's all sugar, no salt. But she does want to correct the record on one thing.
You keep saying Meghan Markle, you know I'm Sussex now. You have kids and you go, no, I share my name with my children. It just means so much to go, this is our family name.
With a cameo appearance from the Prince.
Thank you for loving me so much and celebrating with me. Cheers, guys.
The series is predicted to be a smash hit for Netflix, even as critics pick it apart.
It's all very beautiful, but it's very privileged.
In Los Angeles, Smiley Hogan, 7 News.
The man accused of murdering Melbourne woman Nikita Azzopardi has been committed to stand trial. We'll have the details next. Also ahead on 7 News, Virgin Australia's new boss takes the reins. The pint-sized designers behind Moomba's newest float. And in sports, Steve Smith's bombshell retirement call. The man charged with murdering South Morang woman Nikita Azzopardi has been committed to stand trial. Joel McClelland appeared briefly in the Magistrates Court today. The 33-year-old was arrested in October last year after Ms Azzopardi's family found her body inside a home. He'll next appear in the Supreme Court later this month. Virgin's new CEO is ready to take flight. Here's Amelia Brace with tonight's Money Talks.
Hello, Virgin Australia has appointed a new CEO. Current Chief Commercial Officer Dave Emerson will replace Jane Herdlicker as pilot of the country's second biggest airline, which today posted record results. Aussies will no longer have access to the Jeep Grand Cherokee when existing stock runs out after the company posted a $9 billion profit hit. And insurance companies extended their declines today as fears mount over the impact of Cyclone Alfred on premiums. That helped the ASX 200 sink to its lowest level this year, dropping 67 points. The Australian dollar also slipped on fears of a global trade war, buying 62.60 US cents. And gold is continuing its momentum as investors flock to the safe haven commodity.
Two Melbourne primary school students are the brains behind a colourful new float taking centre stage at the 70th annual Moomba Festival. It's one of 7 new floats for this year's parade, with organisers expecting more than 1 million people.
For budding artists Emma and Florence, pigs really do fly.
How cool is that, Em?
Their sketches chosen from hundreds of entries and used to create this year's star of the Moomba parade, the Unibo float.
We won this at Moomba and then we did the drawing and I just thought I could do this because I just won it.
I just saw my favourite animal, then I drew it.
Featuring a rainbow pink flying pig unicorn with flapping wings. It took 4 months to bring to life.
The motion of the wings was the hardest bit.
The Unibo is one of 7 new floats this year, including this super sunflower.
We've got a bungee set up, so we're going to have a bumblebee that's dressed up and they bounce up and down doing somersaults.
This is the previous competition winner, a float of tofu, edamame beans and steamed dumplings. It'll also make its debut on Monday after extreme heat cancelled last year's parade.
Last year we had a 1 in 10 year weather event, but this year it is back. We've got 5 days of good weather coming and we're expecting to break records with crowd numbers.
Children can enter the competition to design next year's float at Moomba's Imagination Station and Birrang Ma this weekend. Bethan Yeoman, 7 News.
It's 2 days out from the start of the footy season and there's already a chance to win tickets to the grand final. Carlton's Paddy Cripps and Essendon's Maddie Prespakis have helped launch Coles' new Footy Pops. There are 10 double passes to win, with fans needing to find the unique winning code on their footy pop stick. Beck's back with sport and Clayton Oliver is locked and loaded.
Yes, he is, Mitch. The Demons midfielder has addressed his troubled year. Up next, the turning point. What helped repair his relationship with the Demons? Hear from Hawthorn's big-name recruits ready for battle in Friday night's season opener against the Swans. A bombshell retirement from the Aussie one-day team. And Melbourne United survives a thriller, securing a spot in the Championship Series. Welcome back. Clayton Oliver is putting his demons behind him as he works to get back to his best footy. The star midfielder has opened up on his tough campaign last year and how a conversation with the club's president was the turning point.
2 champions back on track. Star gelding Another Will is at his best, while star demon Clayton Oliver is ready for redemption.
Not fully back, but yeah, I'm getting there. I think I'm building every week.
Injury woes and personal struggles, 2024 was a tough year for the star midfielder.
I got told that it was on the trade table and yeah, there's a few things going on, which is, as I said before, I understand. Obviously paid a fair bit to play football and to perform at a high level, and I wasn't doing that. And I probably wasn't the best teammate or the best person at the club, so yeah, I understand that.
An honest conversation with Melbourne President Brad Green was his turning point.
I remember I was in the gym when he called, and I was sort of like, what's going on now. But yeah, it was actually a really good call. He said you aren't leaving, and I'm staying. So yeah, it was a good show of love there. I think from both sides, we've both invested in it, and we sort of had to come out of our shell a little bit, man, track and be uncomfortable with where we're at. And I think we've done that. And then credit to Melbourne, they've done the same thing to us.
Nursing a black eye from friendly fire in their Fremantle clash, he'll spend his final weekend off watching a different battle.
It's a big weekend for Kieran Maher's stables. They have the chance at 2 Group 1 wins this weekend at Flemington. Another Will looking to defend his title against Mr Brightside.
The pair will go head-to-head in the All-Star Mile this Saturday at Flemington. Kate Massey, 7 News.
The Hollywood Hawks will take centre stage as the AFL season kicks off in Sydney on Friday night. Coach Sam Mitchell admits there'll be some clunky moments as their new look defence, led by Tom Barrass and Josh Battle, gels together.
First they won the battle, now to win the war.
Yeah, I can't wait to get out there wearing the brown and gold for the first time and playing with new teammates, and looking forward to debuting with the big fella.
It really is a position where you have to rely on your teammates, so we've formed a really tight bond.
I actually thought they performed a bit better than I thought they might. I thought it might take a little bit longer, and at some stage there's going to be some clunky moments with some new defenders in the side.
One who doesn't have to worry just yet is Chankawath Giath. He'll miss opening round with a minor hip issue. It comes as the Hawks prepare to give fans a must-see inner sanctum look at their preparation for season 2025.
Tell me, who could be proud of their body language? So if you're on the screen, I'm sure you'll be watching you. But if you're not on the screen, just watch anyone. That team loses every f***ing game. I promise you, every game. I don't care who we play. You can be tired, you can't look tired. We thought it was really important that Hawthorn people got to know what we were doing and why.
You can catch the Full Sweat documentary tonight at 9:30 after Front Bar. Collingwood's Mr Consistent Jack Crisp plays game 250 against GWS on Sunday.
Quietly, very proud of it. Made the move 10, 11 years ago now to come to Collingwood. It's definitely been the best move for myself and the family. I feel like I've been able to achieve a lot in my football career, and still got a bit to do.
The Giants are without Coleman medalist Jesse Hogan after a bizarre bus bathroom break. A spring-loaded door closing at pace, fracturing his thumb.
Sunday morning it was super swollen, and got the x-ray before I did the season open, and just as I was getting there they called me and said it was broken and they were going to talk to the surgeon.
Theo Doropoulos, 7 News.
And Chief Football reporter Mitch Cleary joins us now. Mitch, there's been a big change to a hefty prize up for grabs in the AFL.
Well, Beck, there's been a shake-up to the $1 million McClelland Trophy, which rewards the best club combined over the men's and women's competition. At yesterday's president's meeting, the clubs were told that finals will now be incorporated in the McClelland Trophy. For example, last year, Hawthorn won it based on the home and away season only, even with Brisbane winning the AFL and finishing runners-up in the AFLW. Now, at the completion of each final series, clubs will be ranked 1 to 18. 18 points for the Premier, 17 for the runner-up, all the way down to the Wooden Spooners, who will receive 1 point, which means a maximum of 36 points will be on offer across both the men's and the women's. For example, last year, Brisbane would have been winners with 35 points and won the $1 million instead of Hawthorn. Beck?
OK, Mitch, thank you so much. Well, Steve Smith has made the shot call to retire from one-day international cricket. Smith told his Aussie teammates in the dressing rooms after the Champions Trophy semi-final loss to India, but he'll still be available for international T20s. Australia dropped 3 crucial catches last night as Virat Kohli guided the Indians to a 4-wicket win with 11 balls to spare. India will play either New Zealand or South Africa in the final. Melbourne United is through to the NBL's Championship Series after an all-time classic. Last night's clash with Perth is being labelled one of the greatest NBL games ever. An unstoppable Chris Goulding scored 30 points, helping United take the lead before the Wildcats drew level with 3 seconds to go.
Goal! The 6-time NBL champion with one of the biggest shots of his career!
Goulding iced the game after he was fouled in the final play. United will face either South East Melbourne Phoenix or Illawarra Hawks, who square off tonight.
I agree. What a game of basketball. What a showcase for the NBL.
In the NBA, LeBron James became the first ever player to reach 50,000 career points. Chris Goulding has had an epic season. That was an epic game last night. And just quickly, the front bar returns tonight at 8:30 with special guest Simon Black. Then after that Theo was talking about, it's an inside look at Hawthorn's pre-season Full Sweat airing at 9:30 tonight.
Don't you love that behind-the-scenes
Love
stuff?
it.
Yeah,
Can't get enough.
I'll be watching that. Thank you, Beck. In the middle of a cost of living crisis, every cent counts, and 7 News has uncovered millions of dollars in unclaimed cash. From lotto wins to forgotten super, there's money hiding in plain sight and it's just waiting to be claimed.
With family budgets watching every dollar, there's never been a better time to cash in on what you're owed.
There's a lot of money you can claim back if you're suffering from the cost of living crisis.
There's around $580 million waiting to be claimed from the State Revenue Office, including inheritances from deceased estates, shared dividends and unclaimed refunds. ASIC's MoneySmart website can help you access your share of $2 billion sitting in unused bank accounts. Fair Work can search for unpaid wages. The ATO can find lost or forgotten superannuation accounts. And there's $240 million in Medicare rebates due to 1 million Australian patients.
Never heard about it before.
Absolutely, I'd love money. It's worth checking these things to see if there's any free money out there that you can get access to.
There's also a secret subsidy for parents who drive their kids more than 4.8 kilometres to school. Australians are owed more than $25 million in unclaimed lottery prizes, including 2 Division 1 winners from Coburg and Wonthaggi who have lucky tickets worth $3 million. Yeah, I could do with that money. I could really do with that money.
Making people aware of these options is definitely going to be a good thing going forward.
Ainsley Kosh, 7 News.
Jane's back now with the forecast. And Jane, what's on the way tomorrow?
Well, Mitch, we do have a milder day, lots of cloud out there, even a bit of drizzle. And on tonight's bright side, the SES is celebrating 5 decades of helping Victorians. Hello again. Temperatures rose 11 degrees above average today, then they plummeted 10 degrees in just 10 minutes. A warm night turned into a top of 35. The Bureau forecast 32, while my analysis had it as 34. I had the wind change around 3 p.m. and arrived at 20 minutes past. Outside now it is 21. Several suburbs reached 36 before that change. It was 37 in Viewbank. As it arrived in the southwest first, it peaked in the low 30s there. There hasn't been much cloud out there today, just heat. Peaking in the high 30s in the northwest of the state, low to mid 30s elsewhere, except near the southwest coast with the change arriving there first. A trough and front are bringing that change, but the front slides southwards and so does the trough. Then the next high will quickly move eastwards. There it goes, out to our east, make it heat up again in Melbourne from Friday. Cyclone Alfred is a Category 2, but latest guidance has it really slowing down. Now likely to cross later on Friday or even Saturday, but it is near enough that severe weather begins tomorrow. These red areas have damaging winds, a dangerous storm tide and heavy rain. For those near and just south of the beast, it is worse. Destructive winds up to 155 k's an hour, intense rain that may lead to dangerous and life-threatening flash flooding. Now, the destructive zone could affect a large area of people and property, lasting for longer as it slows down and potentially veers. Alfred brings a lot of rain, over 400 millimetres over the course of a few days for those nearby. It does spread inland, but there's only the slight chance it makes it down to parts of Victoria. Around the nation tomorrow, Brisbane has a cyclone icon. Sydney, just a few millimetres in showers, mostly dry there by the footy on Friday. Milder in Adelaide, gusty, hot in Perth. In Victoria, areas of cloud over the southwestern half, isolated drizzly showers mainly in the morning. Dry, warm to hot and mostly sunny. For the rest of the north, the northeast is actually hotter than today. Closer in, a grey morning across Melbourne, even some drizzly showers passing through, mainly near the coast. We're all dry by the afternoon, but the cloud lingers. The city's cloudy all morning. There's a chance of drizzle. The afternoon's mostly cloudy. It'll clear up later on. We're mild. I'm expecting 24. It's just one mild day. The rest of the outlook above to well above average. We'll rise back into the 30s and again later next week. There's only a little bit of wet weather in through here. So tomorrow, top of 24, mostly cloudy. The slight risk of light and drizzly showers. Now to tonight's bright side. The State Emergency Service is marking its 50th anniversary, and in particular 16 members who've been there since the very beginning, including Dennis Brain from the Footscray unit, who says a lot's changed in 5 decades.
Our safety line was a bow line tied around our waist and held on by a person on the other side of the roof.
50 years of helping Victorians through the hardest times. So great for the SES. They all do great work, Mitch.
Do they ever? Thank you very much, Jane. Now, here's what's on Sunrise in the morning.
Thanks, Mitch. Tomorrow on Sunrise, Toni Collette is dropping in how our homegrown Hollywood sensation is staying true to her Aussie roots.
Yeah, plus be watching to win thousands in cash and a brand new car. See you in the morning, Melbourne.
And that's the way it is this Wednesday, the 5th of March. Thanks for your company. For now, from the 7 News team, good night.
The 7 News app will give you the news you want every minute of every day, including breaking news alerts. Download the 7 News app now.